How you doing, fellas? It's Bear with Texas Bushcraft. I'm coming to do a review on my new Hennessy Hammock hexagon tarp. I'm going to set it up with my hammock set up between these two trees here. You're not going to be able to see them on camera at the moment, but I'll try to get some close-ups of me doing this. So I actually haven't made the ridge line for this yet, so you're going to actually watch me, or get to see me doing that, setting it up, and seeing how long I'm going to want it and all that stuff. So stick with me, and we'll be back. Alright, so what I normally start out with doing is setting up my hammock, but what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to set up the straps for the hammock and then go back and put the hammock up after I get the tarp up. So what I've got here is a tow strap from Harbor Freight. I believe it was a pack of 4 of these with a bunch of bungees and everything like that. It cost about 20 bucks. So. What I'll start with is I'll start with a setup where I have the hook set up down. I put the strap through it, and I just tighten it down on the tree. And then I'll take my toggle, one of my toggles, and tie a Marlin Spike hitch with a toggle in place. And that'll hold in place right there for a little bit. So we're gonna set up the other one, and then we'll start on the tarp line. And I'll get back to you when I get to that. Alright, so this is my other tree. I've got it set up. It's a little bit, well, quite a bit. It's probably about a third of the size of the one I have set up in the other one, but I figured I'd show you guys how to do a Marlin Spike knot or hitch. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a loop, like you're making a D. Go through the loop, grab the strap above it, pull it through. You're going to put the spike or the toggle through there and just pull tight. And that'll hold in place. And when you put the Whoopie Sling setup on here, you don't want to put it on the toggle itself. You want to put it on the knot. So what it's going to end up doing is going to end up pulling the knot down and the toggle up. So it'll hold in place like that. That way there's no real stress on the toggle. It doesn't bend and break. But these toggles, you can see they're used to be aluminum arrow shafts. So we'll get back to you on the other one. I'm going to pull this back a little bit, and then we'll start on the tarp line. Alright fellas, so what I've got here is a knot bone from Night Eyes and paracord. I've actually got it on my spool of paracord right now because I don't know how long I want this thing. I want it to be able to fit between the distance of the trees right here, which is probably about 15-20 feet or so, and then have a little bit of extra to pack in. So what you're going to do is, as you can see, I've got my my strap for my hammock set up about eye level, maybe about chin level or so, and then your tarp line is going to go above that. I've got it up above my head as far as height goes. Then what you're going to do is, for the Night Eyes, you just clip on, you wrap around a few times, you clip on, and that'll hold itself in place right there. And it's not going anywhere, guys. Alright, so we're going to move over to this other tree, and I'll show you how the other portion of the setup goes with the rest of it. Alright, so I have the distance set up. It's just enough to fit to this tree, and then probably about 6 to 8 feet extra, so that way in case I have a larger tree that I'm tying off to, it works out. I don't have to recut another line. It gives me enough line to string between any tree that I would actually use for setting up my hammock. We'll melt that line a little bit later. Alright, so what we're going to do, I guess on the other side we're going to set it up a little higher than where we would actually need it to be, or where we have our line. Now I'm on an incline right here, so I'm actually a little bit higher up than I need to be on this part. Alright, so now what I've got here is a figure 9, and I'm going to tie the figure 9 on here with an endless loop that I made in one of my other videos with a prusik knot. Let me set this up here real quick. It'll drop down on me. So I'm hoping you guys are in camera. Let me check real quick and see. And we'll continue on with this line. Alright, so I moved you guys a little closer so you can see this. And what we're going to do is we're going to tie a prusik knot. And prussik's pretty easy. This is the endless loop right here. It's just a loop of am steel that's woven in on itself. And like I said in my other video, the thick side of the am steel where the berry's at is actually the bottom part here. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it through, wrap it through itself once, through the loop twice, and then just pull tight on that. Make sure it doesn't bind up on you or anything. You want the loops to be in the same position that they were when you tied it. Pull that tight. That's what it should look like. And then what we're going to do for the figure 9 portion is put it through the loop here, around the bottom, and then pull it tight. So it should look something like that. So it's through the loop and it's going to hold onto itself right there. And that'll give you the opportunity to move this around if you want, and it'll hold itself in place when it's pulled tight. Alright, so we're going to back up again and I'll show you how to tighten this down. Alright, so we got our figure 9 on here. We've got our line around the tree where we want it. And we've got our prusik with that on there. Alright, so what we're going to do is come through. There's a little section here. It's got instructions actually written on this. I'll try to get a close-up of it later on. What you'll do is you'll put it on the hook, and that'll give you the opportunity to tighten it down. My prusik's moving here. Let's see if we can get this prusik to tighten down a little bit more. There we go. Prusik is not going to work on this line, is it? Well, you live, you learn. Like I said, this is the first time I've used this setup, so. Let's see if we can fix that here. What we'll do is we'll tie a knot in this for now and just fix it later. What I'm planning on doing is eventually getting some am steel, enough am steel to use for the ridge line here. Right now I don't have enough, so I'm using what I've got. Alright, so I tied a knot just in front of the prusik here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that on the camera or not, but there's a knot in front of the prusik so that way it doesn't move. Like I said, we're going to wrap it through the little notch there, pull that tight. Alright, then it goes around the knot, the section that's got the teeth on it, and that'll hold it in place. And then you just tie in some, like a slip knot, slippery half hitch, or whatever you want to call it, to hold it in place. That way it doesn't move. And as you can see, this thing is pretty taut, which is what we want. Alright, so we're going to move. I'm going to pull the tarp out, and we'll do a little show and tell on the tarp. Alright fellas, I just wanted to show you how big this tarp is actually. It's 10 by 12 feet. And I'm 6 foot tall, so it's hanging about 1.5 feet off the ground. It's a little taller than I am right now. So that's 5 foot on each side at least. And then 12 feet long. And in just a second I'm going to do a close-up of the little pockets in that so you can see actually how it looks like up close. The ridge line, it's got a ridge. I'll actually show you that when I get closer. So let's pull that camera up a little bit closer and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so here it is guys. This is the tarp. It's made out of 70 denier ripstop nylon and it's polyurethane coated on the inside here. You can feel the polyurethane on it. The outside is smooth out. But on the corners here, if you look, you can see it's got a triangle shaped stitch on it, but right here in the center there's a little section. On the back side it gives a little pocket for you to put your tie-out cords in, keep them from hanging all over the place. And I've actually got a tensioner setup, a self-tensioning setup on here. Let's see if I can get that back a little bit. So I'm a self-tensioning setup on here, so it will tighten on itself. But the tie outs on the edge, see if I can get it a little closer here so I can show you guys what these look like. Alright, so the outside stitch here, the seam on the outside, it's almost like a ribbon that's gone around the whole piece of fabric. And what they do to make the tie outs on the ends is they take the ribbon, they bring it out, they make a loop, bring it back on itself. So they bring it back on itself and then sew it up on the edge there and then start another ribbon underneath it to go the other way. But I mean, these things are pretty strong, and they've got little plastic rings on here right now and a little clip. And it comes with the shot or the cord here for tying out the edges. And the seam up here on the top, you can see it goes right down the center where the ridge line would go. And it's a fairly good stitch on here, or it's actually a really good stitch on here. And the polyurethane coating covers right over the top of the stitch there. And then on the outside edges, on the edge here, where you tie out the ridge line, it's actually a triangle tie out. And I've just got a little S-clip on here that'll hook to my my pressing knots that are going to be on the outside here. So let's set these up. We're going to tie the pressing knots, hook the S-clips to them, and then we'll tie out the edges here. And I'll back the camera up when I do the tie outs. Alright, so the camera's a pretty good ways from there, so I'm hoping you guys can hear me while I'm talking. We're going to do the same thing on this side, just make a pressing knot. Tighten that bad boy up. Hook it to the S-clip. Pull it tight. Let's see if this works. I'm going to wrap this prusik once instead of twice and see if that'll help with the tightening on here. Nope. This line is just too slippery. Three times. Better. We just need to loop it through a couple more times and it'll work a little better. Alright, let's tighten that other side up. Fellas, so there we go, and now we're going to do the tie outs on this, and I've got some. Alright, so what you can see here, guys, is I've taken my stake, I've staked it out, and you pull this right here is a shot cord, and it's just tied in a knot up here in the loop, and then it's on a knot bone that's tied in here. So what you do to put this on is you'll tie it off, you'll take the knot bone here and you'll hold it, and you'll just run it down the length here and pull it as tight as you can get it. Then you'll wrap the tie-out cord around it, and what that does is it allows you to pull the shot line tight. At the same time, this tarps, the sill nylons and the ripstop and that they'll stretch eventually. So as you're using them at night, they'll relax and they'll stretch out. And what this allows it to do is, as it's stretching out, it doesn't get loose. So as it's pulling tight, or as it's stretching and loosening up, the shock cord is actually going to pull it tight and hold it in place. So we're going to tie out these other the other three corners here, and then we'll show you what this looks like all set up, how big it is. So I'll get back with you in a few moments. All right, guys. So this is what we got so far. It's hung up. My ridge line's underneath here. I got it tied out in the back on the ground here, and then up on the top up here, I've got it flattened out and tied to two trees in front of me. So what I'm going to do now is move you guys around a little bit and show you guys setting up my hammock. We'll start off where I'm at right now, and what I'm going to do is we'll grab my hammock, come back, and then we'll show you how I set this up. All right, fellas. So if you guys have been on the forum at all and looked at the hammock setup that I have, this is it. I made this hammock myself out of some ripstop nylon. Well, part of it's ripstop nylon. The inside, the camo, the woodland camo, and the digital camo is just regular nylon. And the reason I made this is that way if I go winter camping, it's sewn on the edges, but not on the ends, so it's kind of a tube. And what that allows me to do is if it gets cold enough and I don't have a wool blanket or anything with me to use, I can open the ends up here and stuff it with leaves or dried grass and whatnot, and it'll make a insulation for me. Or if I want, I can actually open it up and shove a blanket on the inside of it and use it like that instead of using a bottom quilt or whatever. But in the summertime, I can pull it out if I want to, and it's still breathable enough that it's not going to really affect me as far as heat during the summertime. So what I've got on here, well, I'm showing you here, I've got a Whoopie Sling. It's tied onto the end here, and all the end is bunched up, wrapped around the toggle, and the Whoopie Sling is tied around the outside of that. So you just put it on, and if you watch my other video on making the Whoopie Sling, this one's actually got the adjustable end here. And then what I've got right here is a tensioner line, and it'll keep the hammock from getting loose and hanging down, or tightening up, sorry, should I say tightening up where it's too tight. You don't want your hammock too tight so you can lay in it the right way. But what we're going to do is I'm going to lay this out, and we'll start working on the edges here, see if I can get them to where I need them to be. So if you want to hang out, watch this. I'll do this part real quick, and then I'll get closer to show you how the Whoopie Sling works. So as you can see, my lines on the outside, the straps that I tied to the tree, they're not long enough for me to get this hammock to where I need it to be, so I'm going to have to loosen the knots up. So as you can see, it's hanging really low right now, and I'm going to get you a little bit closer so I can show you how the Whoopie Slings work, in case you haven't seen a Whoopie Sling before. Alright, so here we go, guys. The Whoopie Sling here, it's on the toggle. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's on the toggle right here. Like I said, it's not on the actual toggle itself, it's on the knot, so it's behind the knot. And I'll try to get a close-up of that in a second and show you what I'm talking about when I say that. And all you have to do to adjust the Whoopie Sling is pull. Let's get a little bit closer and I'll show you that a little bit better.